I was, I try to read articles or books or something that, at least once an hour a day just to educate myself. And I came across this article that said, 5 simple questions successful people ask themselves every day. And I read the questions, and I thought some were okay, some weren't. But I asked myself, what are the questions I should be asking myself? If not every day, I tend to evaluate every day. But I came up with 5 basic questions that I ask myself and I try to live by. And I just want to go over them real quickly. The first one is, have I made myself an expert on my product or service? And how do I present that to prospective clients? Frank, you talk about that all the time, is grabbing that client. And one, I have to really be the expert of the product I'm trying to sell or the service, but in my case, service I'm trying to sell. And, how do I present that as a value proposition in, 30 seconds or 7 seconds or less? And that's something I've been working on, almost since I met Frank. And so I really think that's something that you should ask yourself, no matter what your business is. Are you the expert? By expert, I don't mean if it's a facial cream that you know every ingredient in it. No, I'm talking about knowing the product and how do you present that product to your client is very important. And I'm constantly working on that because, as you all know, I do a lot of mixer work and I present sometimes the same group every month, so I try to come up with different things. So that's one thing I think is really important that I thought was good. The second one, and this was one that was in this article, so I'm just going to basically read it. It says, do I recognize I am making mistakes? And I added this part, and do I learn from my mistakes? And this article said most patterns of success include plenty of failure. That's completely normal, even healthy. However, the important thing is that you're learning and you're really making the same mistake twice. When you hit a roadblock, take the time to evaluate what went wrong. And I think that's really good advice. I'll just read a little story of a mistake I made, not in the business, but I was doing stuff for the DAV, trying to get some marketing things for an expo that's coming up. And I was working with a local printer, and I was back for 2 or 3 times. When I went to go place the order, she quoted me a price, and for whatever reason, I thought it was the wrong price. So I said, no, that's not what you quoted me. And I got rude. To be very honest with you, I got rude. And then over the weekend, I realized I made a mistake. She was right. So I called her Monday morning, and I gave her a very sincere apology for being rude to her, that she was right. And not to belabor it, I ended up doing business with her, but she thanked me. She said, no one has ever done that. Called me back and apologized for being wrong. And I said to my wife, we're talking about, we're going to do money. I told her, I said, I owe this lady an apology. And my wife said, well, you hardly know. I said, no, that doesn't matter. I was rude and I was wrong. So I need to apologize. And I put that in there only that you have to evaluate yourself very honestly. When you're wrong, you're wrong. Admit it and find out why and what can you do to fix it and go forward with it. So I think that's a real key thing is so you're not living in la la land. You're living in, Reelsville. You have to know when you've made a mistake. The next thing I came up with is, am I constantly pushing my boundaries beyond my comfort zone? And you can take that in 2 ways. One, the comfort zone is some people can't get up and speak in front of people at all. They hate it. They're shy or whatever. You're going out of your comfort zone when you do that. And I think everybody knows that. I look at it beyond that because at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, do I do one more thing to help my business, or do I sit down and watch TV and read or whatever? Your comfort zone is also, especially when you're working for yourself or your small company, whatever. It's 3 o'clock. It's hot out. I don't need to go out and do anything. I really try to make sure that by the end of the day, I've done everything I could that day to help my business grow and be successful. So there's 2 parts of comfort zone. One is if you don't like speaking in public, you need to do that to get used to it, because that is something you can get very it's almost acquired. You can do it enough times, the fear of doing it goes away. If you don't like going to mixers, go to mixers and force yourself to do them. That's the other part of the comfort zone. So I look at it as two ways. And the next one, which I ask myself, not daily, but often, is what is my game plan? And do I take the time to review my strategy to see what is working and what is not working? I'm not sure if it's you, Frank. I know a lot of people have said it. Don't fall in love with your strategy. Be very, very critical in reviewing your strategy to make sure it's the right strategy. You're getting the desired results. It's almost like a mini business plan. What are the desired results? Make sure you're getting them. If you're not, adjust it, find out where they're wrong and why it's not working, and keep redoing that. And that is something that I do a mini version of daily, weekly, monthly. And Peter said sometimes I'm my own worst critic, and I am. And I've always been. I believe that I should be. I don't need to pat myself on the back when I've had a good day. I need to ask myself, what more could I have done to be successful? So, and the last one is, and we all go through this, and I go through it a lot, is do I still believe I can do this? Do I still believe in myself? You have a couple of bad days, you have a couple of people stand you up there and tell you your product sucks or whatever. You start asking yourself, am I cut out for this? And I honestly just said it to my wife about 3 weeks ago. I had a bad week. I said, I don't know if this is for me. But everybody's going to get self-doubt. And the most important ingredient of success is belief in yourself and what you're striving to do. That's really you have to, if you don't believe, if you're standing over that tee shot or you're going to hit a driver, if you don't think positive thoughts, you're going to hit in the water. And if you walk into a meeting and you think, man, I don't know if I'm good enough for this, guess what? You won't be good enough for it. And, I think the last bit of advice I have is just take a hard look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself if the answer is yes to all the questions above. Now, you can make up your own. I made up 4 out of those 5 stuff that I made up that wasn't in the article. You need to determine what are the critical points that you need to address daily, and make sure you're asking yourself, are you doing them? And look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. That's how you, as a businessman, entrepreneur, or a leader, improve and grow and get better. So that's it.
All right, Frank, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I like the thing about not falling in love, and I'm not sure it was me because I'm the biggest offender of that. When I create something, Picasso's got to step aside, okay? And wait till he sees it. And what I force myself to do, and it saved me so much, is I work something and I work on. I think it's the greatest thing since Picasso, and then I force myself to not do anything with it until the next morning. Yeah, it's amazing how much crappier it looks the next day. It's because you fall in love with your creativity and your ideas and your breakthroughs. Right. And then you say, what? That doesn't make any sense at all. So I force myself to sleep on it. And but I think it's great advice. Don't fall in love with what you until you slept on it for a day. Then look at it.
I could take the analogy to Frank and I are both big pro football fans, and the coaches spend all week working with their assistant coaches, developing a game plan, get their players bought into it, the whole thing. 15 minutes into the game, if your game plan was, I'm going to run the ball every time, and every time it's failing, at halftime you got to make adjustments. And the best coaches, your coach, Bill Belichick, adjust at halftime, adjust their game plan based upon what the other team's doing, and they come out in the second half a better team. And that's kind of what Frank was just saying. Sleep on it, and then you'll see if you have to adjust it going forward. So, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, too, I think, is taking your idea and bouncing it off brain trust, Yes. Yeah. That's what happened with, with Frank in his Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you thought you had it in the bag.
Oh yeah, and then you said, but I know. But then you opened the curtains. I said, whoa, I can do all that. Thank you. You're right.
Yeah, I think that's the real value of our relationships, that we do that all the time with each other.
Absolutely.